hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Chakaraki. And on Street Talk, what we do, we talk about things happening here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. Political, social, and economics. Now, joining me today,
Dennis Burnside.
Charles Thomas.
We got a lot to cover, so, but about 20 years ago, we had this shooting in Colorado, and everybody, oh, we're gonna do something, gotta do something, and then in a few weeks, it was like, calm down. We get shooting other places. From then until now, we've had all these people shot, killed, and all this, and still nothing has happened. So you think something's going to happen now?
It could be. I think there's a movement afoot of the young people who see through these transparent claims from Republicans and the far right about nothing can be done because it's all constitutional. They know that these guys are in the pocket of the NRA. They know that the NRA is the pimp for the gun manufacturers. This has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. It has nothing to do with your right to bear arms. This has to do with the fact that you have people out here who are soaked in blood money and would rather have that money from the NRA than pass laws that keep us safe and keep our children safe in schools and movie theaters, keep all of us safe for that matter. Columbine happened in the mid-90s, and then you had a law that was passed by the Congress that outlawed military type weapons. Mm-hmm. From 1791 to 2008, you never had a gun law struck down in the United States, not one. The Tommy guns that the gangsters used in the 20s became outlawed. Mm-hmm. You've seen all kind of local and state and federal regulations against firearms, and not one time were they ever struck down, because until the NRA went from a gun safety and education outfit to one that was trying to rake in as much money as possible by becoming an advocate for bringing in as many firearms to the public as possible to maximize their profits by the billions. You saw a change in their tenet. All of a sudden it became an individual right to bear arms. But the Second Amendment starts off by saying, in order to have the right of the people should not be abridged, the right to a well-regulated militia to keep and bear arms. They never talk about that well-regulated militia, but that's the way the law was always interpreted until 2008. Yeah, you could have, most Americans saw eventually that you could have a pistol, you could have a shotgun or a rifle to hunt with, a pistol in your house or a shotgun in your house for self-defense. But all these military-grade weapons, man, with these bullets that do maximum harm to the body, that is all relatively new because of activist right-wing judge by the name of Justice Antonin Scalia. May he burn in hell. If I wish there was a hell so he could burn in it. That's the man who turned the law on its head and came up with this madness that any type of gun you want, any type of arm you want, you can buy and walk right into a store. They had a video after this last mass shooting. You know, we've had 3 mass shootings under Trump already. 26 dead in Texas. Then we had the 50, I believe it was 59 in Vegas, and then we had these 17 children last week. It's time for this to stop. And if you look at what's going on with the Trump administration and how they're standing up for these gun manufacturers and ignoring the carnage in the street, the children see through it. And they've had it up to here, and they are literally saying in their speeches, we call BS. We know that you're lying about the Second Amendment. We know you're lying about the fact that you care about us. You're just raking in money, and it's our blood that's being spilled. And it is sickening.
Yeah. You were saying?
Well, I think the students are being used to the mouthpiece of the parents. You know, because when you go on a college campus, it's easy to influence people, but rightfully so, because this country was built on violence. All it knows is violence. And they're going to do whatever it takes to perpetuate, you know, this streak of violence and hatred.
You know,
I agree with you, Chuck, but I part with you a little bit on where that violence occurs. Yeah, this nation was built on violence, brutality, violence, man, carnage, absolutely. Ask Native Americans. Ask your African ancestors. But leave it to Beaver, you know, Ward and June Cleaver, they ain't worried about sending their kids to school and getting their brains blown out. That's what's happening now. Parkland, Florida is a very affluent area. Aurora, Colorado, where that movie theater was, is a very affluent area. And these young people who were born after 9/11 have been raised in this environment of fear, 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 fear. Muslims, Black Panthers, be afraid, get your gun. They're sick of it. They're past it, man. They don't want to live in an environment like this. And Agent Orange, his prescription is, we're going to bring more guns into the schools. We're going to give teachers training in guns. They can't afford to give them pencils. They can't afford to give them school supplies. They can't afford to pay them a living wage. But they can spend, I saw an estimate today that if you want to arm every teacher in the United States with a discounted Glock and the cheapest ammunition, you're talking about $417 million a year. If you go up to a better quality ammunition and a not as deep discount, we're talking about $1 billion a year to arm teachers with guns, but we can't buy books and pencils. It's ridiculous, man.
You were saying, Patrick?
That simply shows where the emphasis is. And yes, Dennis, Trump, in his speech this week to the CPAC, I shouldn't even call it a speech.
Really.
What was he doing? Selling arms. Oh, we need the teachers. Teachers are saying we don't need it. When he said that, I said, but wait, man, I used to teach school. I'm not going in a classroom with a gun. What if some kid really get out of order? Is the teacher going to pull the gun on him? I mean, sometimes they really get under you. So what the teacher can do? Well, he attacked me, so. And then you mentioned the cost, and he was talking like 40% of the teachers having guns. Even that was like some 70,000 or something like that. Teachers would have had to have a gun at 40%. Teachers are saying we don't want it. I want to teach. Students are saying we don't want that.
It's a bad environment.
No. Parents are saying the same thing. But up to today, that fool is still pushing it.
Oh, did you hear what he said this morning?
Yeah?
He said if he'd have been there, he'd have ran in there with or without a gun to put a stop to a person.
Look.
Now, this is President Bone Spurs, who was too scared to go to Vietnam. But all of a sudden, he's Billy Bad Button. He's going to run up in school without a gun and stop an AR-15 madman. Right.
Listen, Trump is saying what people who don't think will buy.
Well,
because there's no way. In fact, Lawrence had it out there the other night, and that weapon, when you fire a round, it goes at like some 1,700 and something miles per hour.
Second.
Second.
Per hour.
Second.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why I paused. It didn't sound right out coming out.
No, when you
But this thing is going so much faster. And a doctor was saying she examined a kid who got shot there the other day. It hit an organ. It's totally destroyed, just
yeah.
fragments.
Yeah.
She also had 6 people got shot with a 9mm, hit the organ, but they survived. They were able to repair the organ. They could same organ, for example, but yet from the one weapon, nothing, instant death.
Well, you know, the thing about it is that these weapons are made for one thing.
To kill.
That's it. Ain't nothing else.
But
You
wait
know?
a second. The Bible, I know for those who go with Bible, the Bible says the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. And a few weeks back, we established that Agent Orange is a thief. So you don't be surprised if he's pushing the guns.
Well, the thing is that you got a certain percentage of people out here who try to proclaim. I watching the guy the other evening. They had one on who was against the weapons and one on who said he had 2 or 3 of the AR-15s and his buddies had some and they was going to the shooting range, and you know he's trying to make it sound all we do is shoot. And it's like the thing is that this weapon is made for killing people. You know, I mean, what else is for?
Has there ever been a black person went up in the school and started killing folks?
I'm trying to think.
Has there ever been an African American go up into a school and start just killing folks?
I don't
None
believe.
that I could see.
I don't think so. But you know.
But you know, in this country, Ahmad, we've got 40% of Americans, 40% own a gun. That means 60% of Americans don't own any. There's no gun in their house.
Okay.
Of that 40%, they own 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12
yeah.
guns.
Yeah.
They fetishize
Yeah.
guns. And if you look at guns around the world, I think we have 4% of the world population. We have 44% of the world's guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is, you said earlier, Chuck, this is a violent, sick,
Yeah.
depraved society. But within that sickness, there's a core group of people, man. I don't know what they're preparing for. Some people say a race war. Some people say a government intervention, some type of paranoid fantasy. But these are perilous times we're living in. I've got a beautiful 14-year-old daughter. She works hard. She's accomplished. She brings home straight A's. She plays sports. She does everything she's supposed to do. And I shouldn't have to worry about her going to school.
That's right.
I shouldn't have to worry about her safety at school. No, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Not for the NRA to make more money, and that's the reason why I'm so pleased with what these young people are doing. They're directly confronting Agent Orange, the NRA, the Mitch McConnells of the world, the Paul Ryans of the world, and they're saying we call BS. All these excuses you give for letting the proliferation of guns keep expanding are not valid. The only thing we see that you benefit from is more money in your pocket, and it's time to put a stop. My life is not worth your extra $1 million a year.
Well,
When you saw the Trump with the folks the other day at the White House, and this youngster just made 18. I mean, he was very, very articulate.
Yeah.
All of them, for that matter.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, they are.
But he raised the question, how is it I can go in a store and buy a gun at 18? Just like that.
Yeah.
Paget,
No restriction.
they had a YouTube video, and the viewing audience ought to look for this. I can't remember the name of the person who produced it. A 13-year-old boy, 13, kind of tall for his age, but he's 13. He went to a convenience store, tried to buy a lottery ticket. Lady said, honey, you can't buy a lottery ticket. You
Right.
got to be 18. He went to another store, tried to buy a pack of cigarettes. Sister girl behind the counter started laughing. Said, honey, you know you can't buy a pack of cigarettes at 13. Then he went into a store, put a 12-pack of buds on the counter. They laughed him out of the store. Then he went and tried to buy something else. I forget what. They said, nah, man, you ain't old enough. He went down the street, walked into I think it was one of those big box stores. I don't even name it because I could be wrong. Bought an AK, put an AK-47 and a few boxes of ammunition on the counter. They checked his ID, ran it, made sure he had no felony convictions, and he was out of that store in 5 minutes with
Yep.
an AK, with an AR-15 and several boxes of ammunition. That's where your second branch of government is. The Congress is leading us. That's what they say is okay.
Well, I
Now
know he wasn't black.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Of course not. But you know, the point is, man, those bullets don't give a damn if you black, white, or red, or yellow.
Exactly.
You know, they're
They
gonna
hit
come
you.
for you, and if they're coming out of AR-15 or one of these military grade weapons, a wound that you might be hurt by and survive, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead.
The only way you survive that if it just barely grazed the outside of your skin. That's
You know?
the only way. Anytime it pierces you, you're dead.
And
And that'll take the sap out of you.
yeah, and I don't know for sure, but you know the 14 and 15 weapons, you know, the bullet used to
Tumble.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
M16.
Yeah.
It was a tumbling bullet.
Yeah.
The way they design these now, man, are very reminiscent to these bullets that came out a few years ago. They called the cop killer bullets.
Yep.
What they essentially do, man, is when they have almost like a hollow tip, and when they hit the
Like a
body,
kind
they
of dummy
expand
bullet.
and they break apart,
Yeah.
and they act like a small explosion.
Yeah.
So when they hit that liver, they evaporate
Yeah.
the liver. When they hit that lung
Yeah.
is gone. When they hit the heart, you're dead now.
Yeah.
You know, they hit you in the neck, the bullet could go any direction.
Yeah.
It's not going to come out the other side.
yeah,
Nope.
they used to go in small, but it's like
Yeah.
you know.
Now
It's
they'll
just
come out.
A very tiny thing in front here, but look at the back of the person. It's a big old
Yeah.
cavity.
Yeah.
But it's designed that way, Ahmad. It's designed for maximum lethality, and these fools can't justify it. Even if they lie and say that the Second Amendment guarantees you the right to keep and bear arms, they never said anything about the inability of a government to regulate that. We've had regulation of guns from, again, 1791 to 2008 until Scalia came along. And even then, you still have cases where people live in a certain community that regulates guns to a certain degree, and the Supreme Court won't rule on it. In other words, that's the local jurisdiction's
Yeah.
business. You go in Chicago, man, you can't buy guns in Chicago.
No.
And I know the right wing tries to bring up, oh, they're Chicago, they're killing each other. They drive 15
Right.
miles to Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana.
Go to Gary.
Yeah.
Go to East Chicago.
Yeah.
Go to any of these suburbs,
Yeah.
Naperville,
Yeah.
and they can get all the lethality they want
Yeah.
and catch the red line and go right back into the hood and have their drug wars where innocents are being caught in the crossfire.
So
We need
unfortunate.
to stop these weapons of war from being sold legally in the United States. It's simple as that.
What the way we are going now, do you see any way that we can check them up? Any way they can be checked up, you know?
Well, in the schools,
I mean, if I'm right now, we got guns, you know, guns just every place, you know, and they're getting them, and we see what's happening now in the schools.
no, because it's money driven. Just like Brother Dennis was saying, you know, and it's a paper trail. They know how many. They probably like to manufacture on each shift 500 cars a shift. They doing the same thing with weapons. You know, it's a mass production of them, and they'll go to the third world, wherever the arms dealers are. You know, they don't care. All they want is to.
Yeah.
That shows how corrupt it is.
Yeah.
You'll see these arms
They
dealers go
lobby.
overseas and sell guns to our enemies to use against our soldiers
Yes.
so they can make money, and the U.S. government doesn't do anything to intervene whatsoever.
no.
It's sick, man.
Yeah.
It's absolutely sick.
You were saying, Pat.
And look, when you think of what's going on, you have to ask the question, where are we headed? What's going to become of us? And especially our youngsters. Like Dennis said, he shouldn't have to be afraid to send his daughter to school. And that's very true.
Yeah, yeah.
But, okay, let's say that the Second Amendment gives you the right to bear arms. It didn't give you the right to hurt me.
Well,
But the arms that they can buy are not just to protect, it's to destroy. And don't tell me you're going on the range with a K or anything like that. That's a lie. You don't go on no range with that. You don't go shooting deer with that.
no.
You don't even shoot an elephant with that.
No.
So it's something else, and it shows a mentality, a
Hatred.
destructive
Right.
mentality
Yes, it does.
in the people.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
know.
pure hatred.
What do you think? You know, we like I said, we've seen a thing from Colorado, 20 years ago, and now we started getting, people going, and to me, it's like, oh, I can kill as many as I can at a school. So what are you saying? What do you see?
I see if these young people who, like I said, they've been raised in fear, manufactured, marketed, sold fear. Be afraid of that black guy. Be afraid of ISIS. Be afraid of that Mexican. Be afraid. It's been fear. They're sick of. They tell you that. They say we're sick of being afraid, and we're not going to do it anymore. But if you look at a nation that actually took steps, affirmative steps to get rid of this threat, it's Australia. Australia had a mass killing with weapons of war.
Yep.
And they aggressively outlawed those weapons, and then they instituted a buyback.
Yep.
And they said, if you have these guns, we will buy them from you at fair market price. And if we catch you with these guns after we offer to buy them back from you, you're going to be under the penalty of the law. Now, if you keep them in your house and they're sitting there collecting dust, we don't have any way to go in there and get them. But if you ever step outside your house with that gun and you had a firing range, you're arrested. If you ever transport that gun in your car and you're looking to sell it to a third party, you're arrested. And they have not had one mass killing since then. We've had 18 up to the time of the shooting in Parkland, Florida, just in 2018. We've had 18. I take that back. We've had 18 in schools. We have mass shootings 2, 3 every day in the United States. Every day. So we're looking at a situation here that carnage is the norm, that bloodshed is the norm, and anyone who steps up and said, I'm sick of it and I've had just about enough, you're made to feel as if you're unpatriotic and you're the outlier, and that you're stepping on somebody else's constitutional toes, and it's just not true.
America is a dark country. You go to TV, the movie theaters, they showing carnage all over. The kids are sitting at home. They don't have babysitters anymore.
No.
They sitting at home with these simulators, killing folks and getting points.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The reality that these young kids, are having all this input into their minds, they don't realize the destruction that a gun really has, other than, bang, 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 and then that person can get up. But once you shoot somebody, they're not going to get up. And you can start this game all over again and go through the same scenario. But, especially a young child is watching TV, and this Walking Dead, how they brutally kill one another and shooting in the head. That's the way to go.
And that's a whole big lie that they propagate into these youngsters that, well, you're indestructible.
Yeah.
Nothing could really happen.
Right.
But you put a bullet through him, he's gone.
He's gone, yeah.
Not coming back.
Yeah.
But Ahmad, you're wondering what can be done. Trump was advocating guns for teachers in school. And my mind went back. The youngster I mentioned earlier brought up the question about Australia. And he asked, how many mass shootings they had since then? Not one. Zero. Okay. Since we have a relationship with Australia, why don't we go to the Australians and say, hey, tell us, what did you do? How did you do it? How did you accomplish this? Because since 1999, they haven't had a mass shooting again.
Well,
especially in school.
Well, the thing is that it's about what these two brothers have always been saying about the money. You know, these people they don't care anything about these shooting in schools and wherever else. It's the money.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, long as these people are selling these guns, they're making money. NRA, they're making money. So
Right. And they're giving the military billions of dollars
Yeah.
to come up with some new
Right,
idea
right.
to mutilate something.
right.
You know.
So I mean, why worry about people getting shot and people being killed? They don't worry about that.
No.
You know.
But as long as it happened to somebody else.
Yeah.
But when it
'Cause you
started
know
happening to
what?
white folks.
When you go to the Capitol building, you can't bring a spit wad in there.
No.
Yeah.
No.
When you go to CPAC,
Yeah.
where all these gun lovers were,
Yeah.
you couldn't bring a BB gun in
No.
there.
No.
When you go to Mar-a-Lago, you can't bring a doggone slingshot
Right.
in there.
Yeah, or fake-
you
or fake
you can't
squirt
bring a
gun.
gun.
Yeah.
No, don't even look at a squirt gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do that there. All of a sudden, the Second Amendment is suspended.
Yeah.
But when it comes to general public's peace and safety,
Yeah.
oh yeah, man, here, give me that envelope.
Yeah.
Forget
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And you know what I said the other day, Dennis? It's okay until it hits them. When
Yeah.
it hits home,
Yeah.
you'll find all these people who are such gun lovers and perpetuating this.
That won't
myth
help. That
to
won't help.
people.
Don't you remember you got a congressman shot last summer? Couple
yeah.
congressmen
Yeah.
shot last
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
They didn't raise one stink about
Yeah,
changing
but-
laws. They
yeah.
don't care.
But
That's
it's
the
not
cost
the
of doing
child.
business.
It's not the child. It's not the family, you know?
Yeah, but you get shot in the behind. I know if I got shot in the behind based on something that I propagated, I might think about changing my ways.
Mm-hmm.
This man, Steve, I forget his name. He's still an out and out Second Amendment proponent. Yeah, more guns, more
Yeah.
bullets, freedom.
Well, you know.
Bring it on.
They paying him good.
Yeah. They getting money from
Yeah.
NRA.
lobbyists, Yeah.
Hey, you know, they started sending them getting.
And they send attorneys to defend
Yeah.
criminals.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like long as
Especially if you're a lifetime member.
right.
Yeah.
Long as the money is heading in their direction, NRA's direction. Hey, why should they stop that?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the idea is, we
Hey,
we
just a
doing
quick minute there. As long as the money is heading there, the money is already being cut off. Since these kids got out there and let their voices be heard, credit cards, automobiles,
Delta Airlines,
lots
insurance
of
companies.
stuff now dropping their business.
Yeah.
No more working with NRA.
Yeah.
So they're losing now. And if those kids didn't get up and talk, and I love what I saw the other day. You had a demonstration here, one there, one there, all over the place. Youngsters out there. People, we got to get up, open our mouth and say.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.